I love Chris Pratt, always have. I keep calling her Miss Bobby Brown.
Miss Bobby Brown. I know. How did she get that name?
It's her prerogative. We're back.
Nope.
Oh, we're back.
I'm Susan Ayers.
I'm Lon Shima.
I'm Patty Smith.
Jorge Sanchez.
Okay, so the movies this week are PK, The Electric State, Heretic, The Last Showgirl. So this week, our movie will be George.
My movie. So my movie, it's The Electric State. Now this movie, it's stars Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, and his what do you call him? What's the superhero guy he is? Captain something. What's Chris Pratt's character? Captain something. Star-Lord.
Oh, Star-Lord.
From Guardians of the Galaxy.
So, and actually, this movie, it's taken. I forgot the name of this artist who does. I don't know anything else now. So, a graphic artist who did a couple of novels, and they're dystopian. And one of the things about his novels is that they always have this robots and this kind of giant mech or whatever creatures. He did a thing called Tales from the Loop, which was made into a series on Amazon. It was a really great series, actually.
Oh, you mean
really
the
good
person
series.
that this is based on?
No, this one is based on the...
Another one.
Oh,
that was another one that he did too. And then
Okay.
Tales from the Loop. And this one is another one that he did. Is the story is the original story is actually more serious. It's a very it has a serious tone to it. They changed it and they made it more like classic Hollywood story with the fight and all that stuff. But he was making a statement about, I guess, consumerism and how probably the phone how we're living taken over by cell phones technology and how we're attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is way lighter. It's way different. So a lot of people did not like that. They didn't really quite follow the novel. But I just have to say that's a different thing too. I mean, I actually enjoy the movie. It starts that Millie Bobby Brown and her brother are. It takes place in an alternate 1990s too. So, and they have robots that now they're using all these robots and they do everything. They're the workers. So after a while, the robots. They have a revolt because they're tired of working for free or for peanuts and they're getting taken advantage of. So, and it's being a war against robots against humans. And then there's this company, this CEO who creates this VR thing that you can control, mechanized things with it. And so they use these mechanized things to fight the robots and they win the war. And they put them in this thing like a reservation for robots, basically. And then they continue with the science, and this VR thing becomes like the whole world uses it. It's all over the world, every country, and people use it to escape. It's almost like I don't say almost like Severance.
Well, like Avatar.
Like Avatar,
Yeah.
where like people So you enter this virtual world, and then you can be somewhere else and be here in that world, and so everybody's living with that. The thing is that the girl. Her brother is also stars a movie that her brother is probably 11. I think she's in her teens, in the early 90s, and he's going to college. He's just going to college to take an exam. He's a genius. He's supposed, according to the movie, he's actually smarter than Albert Einstein. He's that level of a prodigy, genius. So he takes the test just because his parents want him. He really doesn't want to go to college, but he takes the test because his parents want him to, and he wants to see how he does. Of course, he does way better than Einstein. Finishes it quicker and all that. Then her family gets in a car accident, and she wakes up, and then she's told that they're all dead. So the movie starts. Now we're following her and with her family, and she's now a ward of the state, and she has this guy who takes care of her. But he figures out that, and she's also I guess you're a ward of state. That you get a brace, almost like a prison brace.
Right.
So, and he figures out that he can make more money if she does things like, can you run? And if you do track, you can make an extra 200. So he only has it really to make more money just to take care of her. So, and then she gets a visit from this little robot, which her and her brother used to watch the cartoon. I forgot the name of the robot, and the robot talks really funny.
Cosmo, yeah.
And he talks really funny and everything, but when he keeps pointing to the picture and saying, and she kind of figures out that the robot, I don't know if it's funny, but I guess not because early, that the robot might be her brother communicating to her somehow through this robot. So, and then, but how can that be since the brother died in an accident? So, anyway, she figures out clues and everything, and then they go on an adventure to find the brother to where he is. She figures now maybe he's alive. What's going on? So we're gonna find him. And along the way, they figure that because her the guy that takes care of her, the state ward or whatever you call him,
The ward.
foster guy.
Yeah.
He likes to. One thing when they have the war, a lot of things become like you can only get him in the black market, or a lot of things like. And this guy orders a lot of things from this black market company, and it's like Fender guitars and things, just little things that like toys become a collector's item. He's and then she figures out who he orders it from and finds the PO box, and ends up being Chris Pratt, who has this little business that he does that. So he goes into the danger zone, I guess, at the robot area to get these things. And then, then she kind of sneaks in with him, and then they go together to find her brother. And along the way, there's this guy who's Esposito, I think is the actor's name.
Yeah.
He hunts robots too, and he figures out there's a robot out there, and who loves hunting robots. So the movie just follows that adventure, and then how they're gonna find her brother. I thought the movie was really funny. But that Chris Pratt was hilarious, and he was cracking up the whole time. I like the effects. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. A lot of so many robots, so many voices, and you realize, there's a huge amount of cameos. There's huge cameos in the movie. That is the voices. I think the only critique out of the movie is that Millie Bobby Brown, even though she's only 21 and she might have been in maybe 20s or 19 when she filmed this, she still looks a lot older to me, actually. I just could not believe she was a teenage kid. It's going. So I was having a hard time believing that she was a teenager, even though she probably was when she filmed it. She looks so much older. Some people do. Because she's ready for Beverly Hills 90210. They all look like they were in their 30s. So, but I actually enjoyed the movie. I thought, I know a lot of people did not like it, but I found it entertaining. It had cracked me up. I like the effects. I like the situations that they got into. And you have to, of course, suspend a lot of belief to think that robots have this level of AI and intelligence. But then, as you go along, you also see certain things with that. And it makes a lot of points about, society. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's true. One thing I like about doing the show is that I watch a lot of movies that I normally would never watch.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this would be one of them. Yours would be another, right? So I would call it sci-fi fantasy action. That's what I would call it. Sci-fi fantasy action.
Mm-hmm.
So it also didn't get a lot of great critic acclamations, right? But sometimes I feel that a lot of people that critique movies are not the same people who grew up reading comic books.
Hello, graphic novel.
I saw it. You were ready to jump on me there. So Chris Pratt always works for me. I just think he is so charming. He's got that movie star quality.
He's very likable.
Always
Very likable.
And
Yeah.
very relaxed in front of the camera. So, he's so darn likable, right? And his performance always make believe these fantastic creatures like in Guardian of the Galaxy, right? They exist and this is happening. So, if I had a young child, the story is actually quite, it works on both levels. It's a really cute story and really great and really action and all that kind of stuff. But it also got a lot of stuff about corporation. You know what I mean? It's got a lot of social commentary, actually. So
Another thing too, about entanglement too. Especially when we're going science about it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of science, and it was really interesting. And since we're going towards AI, I thought it was quite interesting, and it was dealing with a lot of those kind of issues. So if I was a parent and I had a child, I am a parent, but I have a child, but she's too big, right? I would definitely view this film, a really fun family film. It just covered, that's the thing is a lot of these movies, there's certain movies that they're really great because they just work for everybody. They're just great stories. And I would consider this one of The Electric State. It's a really good sci-fi action fantasy.
And family film. I think
family film,
I think
absolutely.
that's the best thing about it, to be quite honest. I had to admit, when I started watching, I said, oh, this is sort of intriguing. I sort of like this. Because the one thing you see at the beginning is that Chris Pratt was a soldier fighting the robots. Because they had this big war between the robots became sentient and wanted to have basically citizens' rights. And then they decided, no, we have to reject them because humans couldn't fight a robot.
Yes, because they're robots.
Like you said, then this corporation's center, I guess, comes up and finds a way to control drones using these VR things like George was talking about to fight them. So that part I thought was intriguing. What I thought I was hoping was going to be was that somehow when you find out that her brother has been implanted in this robot, that's going to be the movie. It's like, that's intriguing. Can a sentient being inhabit,
a robot
digitally get enhanced or be downloaded into a robot, right? Which, if you watch Black Mirror, that's what they talk about a lot. And I keep wondering if that's ever going to be true. But this happened to be a fluke, because that's the one thing you learn in the movie. It's like, he just happened to sort of escape and find this robot.
They had a back door in the code.
Something like that, right? So I thought, okay, that's interesting. And he assumes the identity, which makes it even more interesting, was the cartoon that he loved as a kid and he would watch with the sister, right? So I thought, this is already setting up for something. And then it turns into something I wasn't expecting, which was sort of this battle, But for the most part, I wasn't bored. I like you said, it's light, it's fun. You go with it. I like... some of the characters. What's bizarre for me, though, and I have to admit this, is that I'm really intrigued by actors now. I remember when Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, was one of the first one where you're dealing with working with something that's not there.
Yes.
And then now I'm watching them interact with all this animated, and I'm sure there are people in costume or something where they can react to. But even like there's a character, Mr. Peanut, who's sort of the head of the robots in their little thing.
Yeah.
His eyes are just so human. It's sort of really weirdly amazing that this is technology now that we're seeing. Because I think the only thing I was really shocked at is the budget of this film. It was over $300 million. So I thought maybe that's what I really liked, was that sort of detail, right? But I thought, they're never going to make their money back on this one. And it was, but I have to admit, you're right. If you want to see a film for the family, which is sort of rare nowadays, and it's not really that violent in my opinion, because all the sort of violence is happening to non-living things, so it's not as bad, know.
And I forgot to mention, I really like that Anthony Mackie, that little robot, which is Chris Pratt's sidekick.
Oh, yes.
He was so funny. And this is digital eyes, and you can see little motion.
And he was the most entertaining robot for me personally, because he was basically Chris Pratt's friend, or robot, which humans and robots are not supposed to get together. In fact, when they get to the place where they're all robots, Mr. Peanut says, no, the humans have to leave. Because
the politics.
But literally seeing the young girl, Millie Bobby Brown and the Cosmo robot together, you could see he changed his mind. And he always says something to her. It's like, maybe I was wrong about humans. And I think Chris Pratt makes him act. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's like, no, I wasn't talking about you. It's more about her. So it's like, it does have like stuff like that that's sort of like fun and stuff. But, I towards the end, I thought, it just turned into another big superhero
Avengers
kind of movie.
thing,
And I thought, that's too bad. But I think you're right about at least they're making a commentary about, one, the commercialization of this stuff, who owns it, what you do, and how you put people in a state of I don't know what you placated
Compromise?
state or no, where you
Like
just sort
stupor,
of
like a stupor, where you just
exactly where everyone's wearing that VR thing. In fact, Millie Bobby Brown at the beginning of the movie refuses to wear that in class. Says no, I prefer reality. And I thought, yeah, see, that's how because I always claim that's what the government wants to do. They want people, oh no, pay attention here, pay attention, or like that movie, don't look up, right? Don't face reality. It's one of those things. So I'll give it that. But like I said, I wasn't completely crazy about the movie, but I didn't find it dull or boring. So
Right.
Me too. I the first, I'd say 20 minutes, I wasn't liking it. I think it's just the way they presented it, but then I totally got into it. And I think it's really interesting, the concept of it with machines versus humans, because it's such a big thing now with AI. I love Chris Pratt, always have. I keep calling her Miss Bobby Brown.
Miss Bobby Brown. I know. How did she get that name?
It's her prerogative.
It's her prerogative.
I've only seen her in Stranger Things. It was really weird to see her so grown up. And she's a really good actress. I like
She
her.
is a good actress.
But I get attached to the characters, including the electronics,
The
because
robot.
they all have humanistic.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So I'm a sucker for that.
Well,
You know
wasn't
what
I
mean?
saying, Patty, remember we were driving down the street and we see the little delivery wagons?
Oh, yeah.
And like they see a person and they back up. It was like, oh, that's so cute. It's like they're real.
Poor little guy.
Yeah.
Oh, they're adorable. They're adorable.
Oh, well, I hate to go off subject, but I swear to God, I was videotaping one and one's coming down and it passed me. Then it backed up and then hello flashed up on the screen.
Oh, my God.
Really?
I was so floored by it. And that's why I said, see, a human is actually sort of viewing something,
Yeah.
So you're right. That's the first time I thought, oh my God, and I said, oh, how nice. And I waved hello to it.
Yeah, because you relate to it.
Exactly.
But, like, even, this is going to sound crazy, but I always believe electronic things have, what's the word I want?
Personality?
Yeah, they have it in a different way than us. So, like, when I make my coffee, I'm always talking to the coffee machine.
Exactly.
Before I get a good cup of coffee. So, yeah, a family entertainment movie, absolutely. I really liked it. I was surprised.
Yeah. It was, because it got such bad reviews that I was like, it's like,
I never listened to
Well, they were
them.
expecting,
I know
they were
you don't,
expecting the
that's
original
true.
graphic novel, which is very dark and serious.
yeah, I think critics aren't people who actually grew up reading comic books. Excuse me.
Graphic novels.
Yeah. Okay. So are we ready to start?
Yep.
Okay. So that would be B. It was a really good one. I give it an 8.
I gave this a 5.
Hold on, you wild man. I gave it an 8 too.
You got what, a 2?
8.
Oh, an 8, okay. Yeah, I'll give it an 8 too. No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. Yeah, so guess we'll be back.
Okay. So we'll be back next week, and I'm counting on you. Yeah, I'm counting. Yeah, like us, subscribe,
And comment.
and watch the movie, and let us know what you think. That's really the important thing. Okay. So next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.